The border wall can bring out some strong opinions, and now the federal government is asking for public comments to gauge concerns from people for and against building the wall. Part of the area in question is a section where border wall construction started during the Trump administration. Environmentalists hope the comment period helps shape what happens next on the project. Border Report's Sandra Sanchez is in Alamo, Texas, with a closer look.
The Biden administration is asking for the public's input on the Trump administration's planned 86 miles of border wall through Hidalgo and Starr counties in deep South Texas. Several miles of the border wall were built when Donald Trump was president. Congress appropriated millions of dollars for the rest, but President Joe Biden halted border wall construction when he took office, and he asked Congress to cancel the funding. But they have not. Now they're trying to figure out what to do to fill in all the gaps and the missing sections and to keep the border secure. U.S. Customs and Border Protection late last month asked for public input on environmental impacts and project alternatives for this 86-mile section. Still on the table is the possibility that a 30-foot tall wall with steel bollards could be built. But there are alternatives, like underground sensors, cameras, a 150-foot wide enforcement zone, and lighting. And this worries environmentalists like Jim Chapman, who is vice president of the nonprofit Friends of the Wildlife Corridor, who worries that sections like this right next to the Santa Ana National Wildlife Refuge could see a wall go up.
If they put in the enforcement zone, which is 150 feet, it would clear everything along here, which is refuge. You know, that's wildlife habitat. That's what this refuge is here to protect.
Unless Congress pulls back the money, CBP must go forward with some form of border barrier. That's where they're asking for the public to speak up and email comments.
It is an opportunity for the public to weigh in, to give comments, and to stand up for wildlife refuges. And that's really what we're doing. You know, President-elect Biden said there would be no more border walls in his administration. Unfortunately, Congress had already allocated money for that. The only really way to stop that is for Congress to rescind that money and to use it for something else.
The agency also plans to conduct an environmental assessment, which can take several months. Some say this might be a stalling tactic as the Biden administration tries to pressure lawmakers in Congress to rescind border wall funding. The public has until March 7th to weigh in, and CBP plans to host a webinar next week on this issue. For BorderReport.com in Alamo, Texas, I'm Sandra Sanchez.
A butterfly sanctuary near the border dropped a lawsuit against a private group building a border wall. That news comes on the same week the sanctuary shut down indefinitely after a series of threats. The National Butterfly Center in South Texas filed suit against a group called We Build the Wall and private companies working on construction. The suit claimed the wall would damage the center's habitat and caused a risk of floods. After launching the lawsuit, the center says it faced harassment from conspiracy theorists and border wall supporters. The Butterfly Center closed over the weekend after a nearby border security rally. Then on Wednesday, it closed indefinitely, citing events targeting the center. Meanwhile, a federal lawsuit over the private wall could be close to being resolved. That lawsuit also targeted private companies working to build the wall. Last month, lawyers told the federal judge in the case that they were close to reaching a deal to resolve the case without going to trial. Both sides are working to reach an agreement on ways to allow federal agents to access the riverbank, as well as addressing issues of how the wall deflects water from the Rio Grande. At a hearing last month, an attorney representing the federal government said the case could be resolved by March. Homeowners in one Texas neighborhood are struggling through foundation failures. We look closer at the state commission lawmakers shuddered that could have helped navigate problems like that. Our investigation coming up.